And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Saturday morning, flying weather. Marginal VFR with a few areas of IFR out here over the Bering Sea on down to the Aleutians, including the Alaska Peninsula. Then a zone of IFR here up across Kodiak Island, just catching the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula, then to southern Prince William Sound. VFR from the interior all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. And the southeast coast, mostly marginal VFR. Then for the afternoon, area of IFR growing here with increasing south and southeast flow, pulling more moisture up in toward the south central Alaska area, with IFR developing on the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range and a little bit more into the eastern and southern Kenai Peninsula, working up into western Prince William Sound as well. IFR for Kodiak Island. Interior stays VFR. The southeast coast becomes VFR. Mostly marginal VFR for just about all of the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And then for Sunday morning, showing up some marginal VFR for the north slope there. Also here over the eastern interior, but the lower conditions down here, south central Alaska, Prince William Sound area, on down just north of Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait area, Alaska Peninsula, and a small patch there south of Nunivak Island. Otherwise stays marginal for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And the southeast coast, mostly marginal. And for the afternoon, Panhandle, marginal VFR with some lower conditions up to the north there. Still IFR here for the central North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound area. VFR, Cook Inlet, Susitna Valley, and then lower conditions along the Alaska Range. And now some lower conditions also up over the north and northeast interior areas. And still a little bit of IFR here south of Nunivak Island, with marginal VFR continuing there for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And for passes, Anatuvik and Adigan, VFR for the day on Saturday. And first day of the weekend for Lake Clark and Merrill, deteriorating conditions throughout the day with ceilings of visibilities coming down, marginal VFR with possible IFR in the eastern approaches of both passes. And for rainy, same forecast, becoming marginal VFR, lowest conditions eastern entrance. Windy, should stay VFR through the day Saturday, as well as Isabel and Mentasta. And Tanita, VFR becoming marginal. And for Portage, marginal VFR becoming IFR, especially on the east side there, the Whittier side. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR becoming VFR. For the freezing levels here, we've got warm air coming up over the Queen Charlotte Islands. Strong southeast flow. They're pulling that warmer air up 2,000 feet up to the northern Panhandle, North Gulf Coast areas. And from there, taking a look at icing, possible considerable moderate icing here, southern Kenai Peninsula, maybe into western Prince William Sound, extending down across the Barren Islands there, maybe Kachemak Bay and Kodiak Island. And from there, looking at the jet stream, low pressure here, Alaska Peninsula, broad area of south to southeast winds up to 100 knots here, south central Alaska. Now to the southwest coast, lighter winds up to the north. And for the 9,000 foot winds, we've got a pretty good band of 65 to 70 knot winds here from or along the southeast coast across the northern Gulf, North Gulf Coast, most of southern Alaska here, diminishing as you head north. Easterlies 40 knots there, just close to Nunivak Island, and lighter winds out to the west. And at 3,000 feet here, we've got mostly easterly flow here over the western interior, from the western Arctic coast all the way through the eastern Bering Sea there at up to 45 or 50 knots. Strongest winds, though, for that frontal boundary here, associated with a strong low south and southwest of Kodiak Island. So pretty good band there, 65 knot southeast winds just off the coast of the Panhandle up to the North Gulf Coast, turning east of 55 knots there across Togiak Bay and Dillingham. And turbulence, quite an area of considerable moderate turbulence here from, well, the Unalaska Island area up across all of the North Gulf Coast, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, as well as the Panhandle. A couple of more zones up here over the western Brooks Range, Point Lay down to Kivalina, as well as St. Lawrence Island, most of the Seward Peninsula area.